Everybody feels lonely from time to time. When we have no one to sit with, at lunch when we move to a new city, or even when no one is free on the weekends. Over the last few decades, the occasional feeling has become chronic for millions. In the UK, 60% of 18 to 34-year-olds say they often feel lonely. In the US, 46% of the entire population feels lonely regularly. We live in the most connected human history time, yet an unprecedented number of us feel isolated. Being lonely, being alone are not the same thing. You can be filled with bliss by yourself and hate every second surrounded by friends. Loneliness is a purely subjective individual experience. If you feel lonely, you are lonely. A common stereotype is that loneliness only happens to people who don't know how to talk to people or how to behave around others. But population based studies have shown that social skills make practically no difference for adults when it comes to social connections. Loneliness can affect everybody: money, fame, power, social skills, aggressive personality. Nothing can protect you against loneliness because it's part of your biology. Loneliness is a bodily function like hunger. It makes you pay attention to your physical needs. Lonely makes you pay attention to your social needs. Your body cares about your social needs because millions of years ago it was an indicator determining how likely you were to survive. Natural selections rewarded our ancestors for collaborating and also for forming connections with each other. Our brains grew and became more and more fine-tuned to recognize what others thought and felt. Being social became a part of your biology. You were born into groups of 50 to 150 people, which usually stay with the rest of your life. Getting enough calories, staying safe and warm, and caring for offspring was practically impossible alone. Being together meant survival. Being alone meant death. So you need to get along with others. For your ancestors, the threat to survival was not being eaten by a lion, but not getting the social vibe of your group and being excluded. To avoid that, your body came up with a social pain. The pain of this kind is an evolutionary adaptation to rejection, a sort of early warning system to make sure you stop behavior that would isolate you. Your ancestors who experienced rejection as more painful were more likely to change their behavior when they got rejected and thus stayed in their tribe, while those who did not get kicked out most likely died. That's why rejections hurt, and even more so why loneliness is painful. These mechanisms for keeping us connected worked great for most of our history until humans began building a new world for themselves. Loneliness epidemic we see today only started in the late Renaissance. Western culture began to focus on the individual. Intellectuals moved away from the collectivism of the Middle Ages, while the young Protestant theology stressed individual responsibility. This trend accelerated during the industrial civilization. People left their villages and fields to enter factories. Communities that had existed for hundreds of years began to dissolve while cities grew. As our world rapidly became modern, this trend sped up more and more. Today, we move vast distances from new jobs, love, and education and leave our social net behind. We met fewer people in person and we met them less often in the past. In the US, the mean number of close friends dropped from 3 in 1985 to 2 in 2011. Most people stumble into chronic loneliness by accident. You reach adulthood and become busy with work and have lots of stuff to do. There's just not enough time. The most convenient and easy thing to sacrifice is time with friends. Until you wake up one day and realize that you feel isolated, you yearn for it's hard to find close relationships as adults, and so loneliness can become chronic. While humans feel pretty great about things like iPhones and spaceships, our bodies and minds are fundamentally the same way they were like 50,000 years ago, or even when the first human came to life. We are still biologically fine tuned to begin with each other. Large scale studies have shown that the stress that comes from chronic loneliness is among the most unhealthy things we can experience as humans. It makes you age quicker, it makes cancer deadlier, Alzheimer's advance faster, your immune system's weaker. Loneliness is twice as deadly as obesity and as deadly as smoking packs of cigarettes a day. The most dangerous thing about it is that once it becomes chronic, it can become self sustaining. Physical and social pain can make common mechanisms in your brain both feel like a threat, and so social pain leads to immediate and defensive behavior when it's inflicted on you. When loneliness becomes chronic, your brain goes into self preservation mode. It starts to see danger everywhere. Some studies show when you're lonely, you're much more receptive and alerted to social signals, while at the same time, it gets worse as interpreting them correctly. You pay more attention to others, but you understand them less. Loneliness makes you assume the worst about others' intentions towards you. Because of this perceived hostile world, you can become more self-centered to protect yourself, which can make you appear more socially awkward than you are. Well, I guess that's it for today, guys. Hope you